2 years ago, back in 2015, me and my wife Amber went to Iceland. It was a big trip for us. We planned it ahead for quite some time. Anyway, this was in September 2015, and the best time to travel to Iceland is probably during that time, maybe the summer. In summertime there is more light, so you want to be going during that period. And for preparation you need warm clothing, especially some clothing that stops wind and rain a little bit. It's Iceland, but it's still 15 degrees Celsius or something like that, during that period at least. The country itself is quite expensive as well. The prices are high, so be prepared. The first thing we did is leaving the cats with my wife's parents. So we flew from Amsterdam to Reykjavik, that's the capital of Iceland. And so we arrived there, we got a hotel, a hostel I think it was, and I filmed a lot of footage. And all of a sudden my footage was gone, so that sucked. And Reykjavik itself isn't that interesting, but still, it was a bummer. We went to the white church, Hallgrímskirkja, and it was an interesting building. We went up there, you could see a view of Reykjavik. We ate some hot dogs, apparently the best hot dogs of Europe. They tasted good. And after Reykjavik, the more interesting part of the travel began. We rented a car and drove all the way around the country. Maybe 1600 kilometers, that's like 1200 miles or something like it. And we did that in about 12 days. The first thing we did there, besides Reykjavik, was go to the Blue Lagoon. That's probably the most visited attraction by tourists. Everybody goes there, even when you're going for the weekend. You got this blue water and the white substance that is supposed to heal your skin, or it's good for your skin. And the pool is hot because it's being warmed by volcanic activity, something like that. So the Golden Circle is one of the most touristic places of Iceland as well. The Golden Circle consists out of three things. Thingvellir, and there is Gullfoss, and there is Glaciers, Stokkur. First to Thingvellir, that's the, I think it's pronounced Thingvellir, and that's like a giant gap in the earth. All the greens in Iceland are fascinating, especially when you're going after the summer. Most of the ice is gone, it has melted away, so that gives way to green landscapes, and that's really photogenic. Then we went to Glacier, that's like a big geyser that erupts water like 20 meters in the sky. Which is interesting. We didn't see any geysers before, but Iceland is like an active volcanic island, so the place is like steaming and bubbling and hot pools and volcanoes everywhere. So it's alive, the island is alive. After that we went to the third highlight in the Golden Circle. That was Gullfoss, the biggest waterfall in Europe, so they say. That thing is huge and enormous and it makes a lot of noise. You get wet when you walk over there, so you better bring a rain jacket there. We stayed in guest houses and hostels and cabins and stuff like that. And we traveled from point to point, and each day we went like maybe 150 kilometers, maybe 100 miles or something like that. After the Golden Circle we went to the north, like going clockwise, and we drove to Akureyri. That's like the second city in Iceland. Before we got there we went to another highlight, or was it after Akureyri? I'm not really sure anymore. It was Godafoss, another big waterfall. Is it called? Yeah, it's called Godafoss. And that was an interesting waterfall as well. Not as interesting as Gullfoss, but still quite impressive. And after that we just went to Akureyri. And we stayed in Akureyri for one night. And an interesting town, but Reykjavik is much more interesting. It's the capital and there's a little more to see over there. And then we went to quite possibly the most beautiful place of Iceland, or at least one of the most beautiful places, and that's Mývatn, or pronounced Mývatn, not really sure how to pronounce it. It's like the Y is like pronounced as a U or something like that, at least in countries like Denmark and Norway, I think. I'm not sure how it works in Iceland. I only know the word takk fyrir, that means thank you very much. So we went to Mývatn and it was peace and quiet over there. Not many people are visiting that place. Many people are going just for the weekend. So it's like we had the whole place for ourselves. Not really like that, but still. So Mývatn is like a totally different landscape altogether than what we saw before. Very green as well, more volcanoes, and there's a lake, Lake Mývatn. Anyway, we went there and we visited a volcano, Vierfall, something like that. The names are hard to pronounce sometimes, or I just forget them. And we could walk up on the crater. That one isn't active anymore, and it was quite impressive and pretty high. It was quite a difficult climb, but we got there. We got the greatest view over the region. There's another one as well, and that one is named Krafla, and we went up there during nighttime because we wanted to see the northern lights. We went there with a guide because the probability of seeing the northern light isn't that big in Iceland, especially during summertime and late summer. So we climbed the Krafla with that guide, and I think we searched for about 1 hour to see something in the sky. So the previous nights I looked outside as well during nighttime, during early mornings, but I never saw it. You can see it when it's dark. It's not like the evening is not better than the morning or something like that. It just needs to be dark. We vaguely saw the northern lights. Not like all green and all kinds of colors, but vaguely, if you adjusted your eyes, you can actually see, and we could actually see the northern lights dancing in the sky. It looks better on the following picture I'm going to show you. So we stayed there for about 2-3 days or something like that. We went to a hot bath as well over there, like the one in Blue Lagoon. But then in the north in Mývatn, it's a little bit smaller, but it's the same principle. The second day we were there, we went to the north and we went to Húsavík because we wanted to see whales. So we went with a boat to see some whales. That's like a 2-hour boat ride to way north, all the way to the Arctic. No, that's not true. Anyway, the most northern point of Iceland, something like that. And we saw whales. After a while we saw some, and we saw humpback whales as well, and only for a few moments because every 5 minutes or so they come out for air. But we saw them for a brief moment. Then it was a 2-hour boat ride back, which was cold and windy. So after we did that, we went on with our car, and most of the roads are actually proper roads. You know, it got asphalt on it. Some of the roads are kind of off-road. We didn't have a Jeep or something like that. We just had a small car, and I was kind of afraid that we, I don't know, lost a tire or something like that, but it didn't happen luckily. So we went to Dettifoss, that's somewhere in between Mývatn and Húsavík. That is like the most powerful waterfall in Europe, and that thing is insane. It goes, you don't want to fall in there. You don't ever want to fall in the waterfall. The weather was very bad though. It was rainy and a lot of wind, so that was crazy. Anyway, after a few days we rode on ahead to leave Mývatn and going to the east and then the south, and we stopped at a place called, I'm not sure how the place is called, but it had a lot of muddy pools and a lot of wind. And then this happened. I myself planned it ahead for about months. I waited long enough. I wanted to do it earlier, but I didn't have the guts to do it. Riding from north to south, I decided I have to do it somewhere, and we stopped at a rest stop. And it was quiet and it looked like Mars out there. I thought this is the time, so I put the camera on the car, pretending that we were just saying something in front of the camera, and then I proposed. After that we were, of course, in a very happy state, and we rode further to the south. And that landscape to the south, the whole eastern part of Iceland, is just magnificently beautiful. after a while we got to the southern coast, and that's for the first time we saw the sea. So we slept in cabins over there. After we settled in, we went to the glacier lake Jökulsárlón. There's a lot of like little ice mountains just floating on the lake. They're coming from the glacier and they're drifting towards the sea. I guess the glacier melts little by little because of climate changes, but it was melting because the summer was done and winter was still coming. We took a boat tour there. It was very misty, very foggy, so we didn't see much, and the weather was bad. It was raining all day and it was cold, so sun is better, definitely. So the beach is full with these giant pieces of ice, and when the sun shines on the ice, it creates a very pretty image. So after that we went to an actual glacier. What was the name of that glacier again? I think it was called Skaftafell. That is the same glacier that's being filmed in Interstellar, which was kind of cool. We went there with a guide and a group. You can't go up there alone. You get your gear, meaning something for under your shoes and a little pickaxe to actually get a grip. And we went on a piece of the glacier, which was quite impressive. It's just a whole bunch of ice and dirt formed together in hundreds of years, and it just drifting to the sea. And yeah, it was amazing. Well, next to Skaftafell there's another waterfall called Svarifoss. It has these nice columns. After that we just went further south to one of the most southern points of Iceland, I guess, to a place called Vik. And there's a very black beach, volcanic beach, and the sea is very, very wild over there. And after that we went to another two waterfalls named Skogafoss and Seljalandsfoss. Now by this time we've seen a lot of waterfalls, so we weren't quite as impressed as the other waterfalls. Skogafoss is definitely a beautiful waterfall. And there's Seljalandsfoss, the second one. And that waterfall is funny because you can walk behind it. Well, if you're there at those two waterfalls I just mentioned, you want to go to the beach to find a hidden airplane. Just sitting there at the beach. It crashed somewhere in the 70s. I think they all survived, so there weren't any bodies left anymore or something. And just sitting there. I don't think the government's doing anything about it. It's just a wreck and you can go see it. And after that we just went to Reykjavik again because we came full circle. So yeah, that was our trip to Iceland. We enjoyed it very much. We want to go back at some point, but it's expensive and I want to see other locations. That was my adventure with my then girlfriend and now wife. So Iceland, 2 thumbs up.